Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
With Robb Flynn.
What up? What up? What up? Podcast party. Peepo. What's happening? Let me adjust my camera here. There we go. There we go. How you doing? How you living? How you feeling? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're getting ready to enjoy this Thursday night, Friday morning, depending where you are in the world. We got John 5, Rob Zombie, David Lee Roth, Marilyn Manson fame. Yeah. He was in Rob Halford's 2, if you remember that. The industrial side project that Rob did when he was out of Judas Priest for, I'm not sure how many years. I want to say like 10 or 15 years. And they had Ripper Owen. Judas Priest had Ripper Owens on vocals. I should get him on the podcast. He'd probably have some great Priest stories. I went and saw that era of Priest, actually. I saw Judas Priest play the Fillmore in San Francisco with Ripper Owens on vocals. Packed, sold out, rager. And he killed it. I thought he did great, man. It was cool. It was cool seeing some, I'd seen Judas Priest several times with Halford, and I thought he did an admirable job live, man. I actually hung out with him after that show, too. I hung out with Tipton, KK Downing. Shout out to KK Downing. He's going to be on the podcast. I could get KK and Ripper. That'd be weird, right? I'd love to get Rob Halford on the podcast. Been trying. We've been missing the boat on that, but it's going to happen. They sent me his book. It's going to happen, though. But it would be cool to get KK. It'd be cool to get Tim Ripper Owens. I think he'd have some. I'd just love to hear some of those crazy stories. Crazy era of Judas Priest. I just finished up part 2 with Scott Ian. In fact, I'm actually ahead of myself here. Normally I get behind and then I'm doing the intro like the day before it's going up, and I'm actually ahead of schedule. I'm doing the John 5 intro, and it's already been done. And I just finished up Scott Ian part 2. Man, that was a good one. If you listen to Scott Ian part 1, remember we went pretty, other than like some technical sound issues, we went deep into Anthrax. It was awesome. And we did deep into Anthrax again, man. It was killer. So, yeah. Here in, that's coming up next week for you. Next week for you. And there's going to be a part 3, believe it or not. This weekend. Man, it's crazy. Here in Northern California. Not so much in Southern California, but fucking hell, in Northern California. Dude, we had what's called a bomb cyclone. A bomb cyclone. I'd never even heard of it. And some kind of rain river / bomb cyclone. And it sounds just as crazy as it is. We had the biggest storm of the last 20 years on Saturday, starting Saturday night into Sunday and Monday. Dude, I'm not even, it was fucking insane here. At one point, we had to batten down all the hatches out in the backyard and cover shit up with tarps, and it was just insane. And then it all came off. So then me and my son Xander are out there having to take all this shit down and rebat. I mean, we're it's literally it was being on a movie set. It was just so much rain. It was laughable, just comical amounts of rain. You're just fuck. I'm just out there. I got my rain jacket. I've got this kind of heavy rain jacket that I got from Affliction that is a fantastic jacket. It's made out of rubber, or looks like leather, made out of rubber. Shout out to Jose for giving it to me. But this thing's like the best rain jacket. I'm wearing like shorts and flip flops because I'm just getting soaked. I don't even want to bother getting my shoes wet. It's just so fucking rainy. And we're battening down the hatches and we're tying all this shit down and tarps all over everything just to protect, outdoor furniture and stuff. And then I go into the garage and I go to grab something and there's a river of water coming like through my garage out of my crawl. And I'm like, what the fuck? I go over to the crawl space and I open there 2 feet of water under my fucking house. I was like, what the fuck? Oh, fucking ran down. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm calling my wife. Like, Ginevra, what do I do? She's at work. She's like, stop calling me. Figure it out. Anyway, I do figure it out. And 2 sump pumps later, got to go to fucking Lowe's and then Home Depot 4 times. Every place is sold out of everything. Sold out of hoses, sold out of sump pumps, sold out of fucking attachments. It was fucking crazy. Finally drained it though. And here I am. This was on Sunday. Sorry, Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. And today's Tuesday. And I still got like about 8 inches of water under my house. But, just better than I've stopped the river coming through my garage. Now my garage is starting to stink. We got carpets out there because, the wife and I have date night in the garage. We get set up some candles and we play music and we just have a couple of drinks. And so we've got like all these, cool carpets out there for our feet. And then now they're all fucking soaked and starting to smell like must. Ugh, fucking mess, dude. It was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah. But that was my weekend. Just getting all that shit sorted. Prior to that, the week prior to that, Machine Head was in the recording studio next door, Shark Bite Studios, right next door down the hall, working on the new record, man. Got a new song out of the deal. Yeah. A new song called Unhallowed. Really good, man. Really good. Different, very kind of more closer to if you heard our last 3-song single, Arrows and Words from the Sky, this is a song that's probably closer to Arrows vibe. Different, but in it's probably similar vein, like good melodic chorus. And then we just fine-tuned some of the songs. We're finalizing the tracks. We got Zach. Zach does these really intricate drum programs that are fucking amazing. It's crazy now, like what you can do with drum programs. Like they've got like some of the shit on like these drum programs and be like, yeah, Dave Lombardo roll, Gene Hoglan roll. You can just like hit a button and it does like a Gene Hoglan roll. It's crazy. John Bonham roll, Lars Ulrich roll. Like it's nuts, like what you can do. And he's so good at it. So we've got these really fucking, and he's a drummer, so he makes it sound like a drummer, and he can play it, because he would know what a drummer would do. So it's like, this is what a drummer would do. You can't do this, because sometimes I hear things in my head, and I'm like, yeah, try this. Because when I write a song, like I hear everything. Like I hear the drums, I hear the bass, I write 90% of the drum beats in Machine Head. Anyway, just in my head. And yeah, we had a really productive session. Like really, just fine-tune some of the previous 4 songs that we've got, 5 songs that we've got, double track, quad tracked, a bunch of guitars on these things. And then gonna have Carlos Cruz come in and play some of the drums, and then we're gonna ship it off to Colin. They're gonna fucking mix it, dude. So pretty soon the record's finishing up. Yeah. Finishing up. Getting it all wrapped up. Pretty cool. Exciting. Yeah, and then it won't come out for a long time because it takes fucking 8 months to get vinyl now. So we're going to have to wait till the vinyl's ready. All the major they saw those Taylor Swift numbers. They were like 120,000 pieces of vinyl for Taylor Swift? Oh, hell no. We're getting in on the vinyl game. So now all the fucking majors are clogging up all the, it used to be kind of just like metal bands and, maybe some hip hop artists, but now they're shoving all the pop artists in there, and that's what's causing all the fucking But we'll just do what we got to do. So we'll wait, and you'll wait, and you'll hear it. Like you've already heard a couple songs. We might even do like what Kanye West did, and just like on that 6 weeks before the record, just drop a new song every week leading up to the record, and then on the record drop the last song. So, who knows? I don't know. Don't ask me to make a business decision like that. I just write the music. I write the lyrics. I write the songs. I let them handle all the other shit. Anyway, yeah, it's cool. I'm gonna play. I hope that, man. I tell you what, I was so bummed with the D. Snyder episode, because the D. Snyder episode was so good, but I played a bunch of music from, classic Twisted Sister era, and dude, so many copyright strikes, and whoever their label is, or I don't know who does it or who says it, but man, it's like, oh, you're playing our song, motherfucker, that shit's getting blocked in every country in the world. So it was blocked. We had like 7 copyright strikes, and like straight up, like sometimes it's just like when you do a copyright strike, you can't monetize it, which I'm fine with. I don't need to monetize the YouTube or the other stuff. But dude, these motherfuckers were like, you can't see the video, you can't hear the podcast. So then we had to go through and fucking edit everything, and it was a big old fucking clusterfuck. So I really hope that does not happen with this. But these are from an independent album, these songs that I'm about to play of John 5. So fingers crossed. These are just under the standard you can't monetize it bullshit. Check this motherfucker out, though. This is anyway, my only problem with was that tons of people couldn't see the D. Snyder podcast because of the fucking copyright things. It was only available in like 2 countries, which sucked. So then we had to go through. G-Mike edited it all. Shout out to G-Mike for editing everything. And then finally, like, I don't know, it was like 5 days later, finally, they lifted all the copyright strikes, and then it was like, okay, now everybody can see it. So, I may have to stop, especially if it's a big artist, may have to stop putting the music in, Scotty and an Anthrax. I don't think there was that many copyright strikes. I don't know. Anyway, this is John 5's latest thing. This is his #1 song on Spotify. Check this shit out. This shit's crazy. I love this. This is some fucking Spanish conquistador shit. Sick though after a while. Just doing the 2 fingers back and forth. I'm just hammering on. No, 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 no. That is ridiculous. So sick. If you're listening on headphones, it's kind of going back and forth in your head. It's cool. Like left to right. That's one talented ass motherfucker right there, dude. It's ridiculous. This is the song, this is his biggest song on Spotify. Not currently #1, but it's his biggest song. This is called Black Widow of Laporte. Might be Laporte, I don't know. All instrumental guitar tracks. He's got a new record dropping that we talk about quite a bit. It's on a major label though, so I'm not going to play that because I feel like that's going to get heavily copyright hit. Pretty thrashy. This is Crank It, Living with Ghosts. Ooh. Whammy wah. Did you take whammy pedal? Did you take whammy pedal?
Crank it.
Ooh, I like that.
Crank it.
It's got some sub on it.
Crank it.
Got a dance beat going.
Crank it. Crank it, motherfucker. Crank it. Crank it.
The fucking low end on this song is
Crank it.
thundering. It's killer.
Crank it. Crank it, motherfucker.
That's really cool. I jammed this the other day in the car. I was like, fuck, this is banging. That's a guitar. That's fucking cool sounding. Sounds like a keyboard. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. I'm going to invite you to listen to this fantastic interview with the mighty John 5 on No Fucking Regrets. John 5.
How are you?
How are you, man?
I'm well. I am here just picking in LA and talking to you. So it's a good day.
I love that you've got your guitar permanently with you like a security blanket.
I know. It's weird. It'd be weird if I was like, this guy still walking around with my security blanket, like sucking my thumb or something. But it's the guitar. So it kind of makes it a little bit okay.
Have you ever gone on stage and just sang without a guitar?
No.
Yeah, right. I've done that a handful of times, and it is the weirdest fucking thing. I'm just like, what do I do with my hands? Like,
yeah, it's that Talladega Nights thing. I first of all, I know where my strengths are, and I would never, want to open my mouth other than a couple of hey yeahs or a, come ons or rock, type of backups. That's about all you're going to get from me.
right. You're like, I'm just going to let the guitar do the talking.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with, a person's tone, because the tone of my voice is, it's pretty stupid, but like a lot of people have this great tone to their voice, and it's just a natural thing. Like you have a great tone to your voice, but mine, I just
thank you.
Cringe when I hear myself even talk.
I cringe when I hear myself too. If I listen to these things back, I'm like, oh my god, the hell's the matter? It sounds so, because you're so used to hearing it in your head,
right. Yeah.
I'm excited for you. You got a new record dropping, man, right?
Yeah, I got a new record coming out on the 29th of October, like very soon, and
Friday before Halloween.
Yes, I guess it's pre-Devil's Night or something like that, pre-Devil's Night Eve or something. But it's cool because, I started doing this instrumental thing just for fun. My first one, I just made this instrumental record for my friends and kind of passed it out to people back in the day. And now and I've done it all myself, just own label type of thing, and kind of, it was just all self-contained, but this was the first record coming out that I finally signed to a record label because I was nervous about it,
And you signed to a fucking Big Machine is like, I was like, damn.
I know. Yeah. I was like, too. I was like, they were like, we want to get in the John 5 business. And I was like, there's no vocals. So, no, it's wonderful because it's, it's just what I'm doing is just so for the love of the guitar and for the love of music, it's not for anything else. And to get to having a label interested in this is just, it's really a dream come true, literally building it from nothing, you
Right.
know, and let's be honest, it's a hard sell, you know,
Right.
instrumental, you know, it's a hard sell, but thank God, you know, people come out and they come out to the shows and you know, they like the music. So I'm so thankful for that because it's just so, you know, from the heart.
Yeah. I mean, I think what Big Machine is like, what was like Taylor Swift's original label.
Yeah.
And I don't, I'm sure they've got a bunch of
Tim
big,
McGraw
Tim McGraw.
and you know, Faith Hill I think was on
Yeah.
there, and
Huge country
every
superstars.
I mean just like massive, and then Garth Brooks and all this stuff. And so yeah, you know, I'm just very thankful and lucky, and that I'm on this label. So I haven't been on a label in, you know, a million years, just like everybody else. So I'm pretty excited about it, and it's so far it's going great. You know, the first single is doing really well, and you know, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of a rarity to find a label that, I mean, from especially like a major label like that, that's going to back this type of music
Yeah,
and get behind, you know, and get behind it. Like that's really, really cool.
especially nowadays too. It's just like and instrumental. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, it's I'm very happy and very excited about it. But I think, you know, I'll do a record. I think I'm going to do a record, um, like with a bunch of different singers on it at one point.
Okay.
You
Cool.
know, and maybe do something like that. And you know, love to have you on too. You know, and
That'd be amazing. Dude, that'd be sick.
so yeah, so there's good plans and hopes and futures and things like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of like the last, big, probably Satriani
Mhm.
was like the last really big, like guitar based record. Is that, I mean, maybe there's been more since then.
Yeah, I guess, you know, Passion and Warfare, Steve Vai.
Yeah, Steve Vai. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah,
Those were like 10, 15 years ago though, right? Like,
yeah, that was, boy, terrible with years, but yeah, it was a while ago. I think Joe's Surfing with the Alien was in
yeah.
the 80s and probably, you know, late 80s for Vi too, or
Yeah.
so.
Do you grow up listening to a ton of that? Do you listen to a ton of that now? Like, do you listen to like solo guitar instrumental records?
I do. And I enjoy it just like, you know, because it's something that I was into as a very small from watching a hee haw. I would watch Roy Clark and I was like, whoa, this is great, you know. And I think I really enjoyed anyone that was good, really good at their craft if they were, you know, juggling or if it was like a basketball player or baseball player, anyone that was, you know, that excelled at their craft. And that's how I was when I saw Roy Clark and the Hee Haw stuff. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And I've always had a interest in guitar like that. So yeah, I do like to listen to that quite a bit. And it's interesting because back in with the lockdown when everybody was like, what are we going to do? You know, what's happening? I did the same thing and I worked on this record and I was listening to that 40s Junction on Sirius XM and
Hmm.
it's all 40s music. And I was listening, I'm like, wow, this is so good, but it's all live, like in the studio, like they were in the studio,
Right.
big band, and they just had to be so good. And I said to myself, I think I want to make the record like that, where I just go in and I start playing and then I play it all the way to the end and just, you know, not take breaks and not say, oh, they'll punch me in here or there. I just have like, you know, four really full, complete, you know, takes and then pick the best take. And that's how we did this record.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure to like nail a song all the way, especially because you haven't, I think when you're touring a song, like it becomes part of your muscle memory and like, eventually like you don't even got to think about the song you're playing. But like when you're just writing something anew, it's not part of your muscle memory. Like Like, where's my lead go? Like, what's the note that I'm supposed to go to 2 minutes into this?
So what I did is I took the song and then I sat home with it because we had so much time. We had nothing to
Right.
do. So I sat home and just went over it and over it and over it and over it for, probably a week at a time.
Okay.
And then did it that way. And it was a lot of fun because hearing all those, those vocals on that 40s junction,
Mm-hmm.
they were all on one mic, all these people
Right.
harmonizing. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like,
All on one mic.
yeah, yeah. Hey, I can't hear myself, Joey. Well, step closer to the mic.
Right.
You
Take the headphone off of one ear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so you're right. And so that's, the approach I took of doing this record. And it was a lot of fun, because, we had so much time on our hands.
Where did you do it in your house? Did you do it in you went to a proper studio?
I went to a proper studio and did it.
Everything opened up, I guess.
Yeah. And my producer, Barry Pointer, it was me and him, and we just I couldn't even get any guitars out of storage or amps, because everything, they wouldn't let us in.
Oh, wow.
And so I just did the whole thing with this guitar and, what amp I had in the studio. So it wasn't like this rack of guitars and rack of amps. It's like, okay, well, let's try to move the mic around and maybe try to get a different sound, So I even double thimped some things with the same guitar, just, it was so like kind of starting out like in your bedroom, almost like you just had one guitar and one amp.
Right, right. Yeah. Is it that guitar that you're holding right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else, I was like, oh, I got to get my guitars out of storage. They're like, sorry, we're closed,
Is that like your main axe, or is that just like your at home axe?
The main one. And it's a signature model, but what's cool about it is that I have this chrome pickguard and it's gold and things like that. So I would play it so much. I had this replaced, but this part, you can see this part. See where it's like worn here?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Part, it was so worn, there was a dip to it. So it was dug into the chrome, and Fender was like, you should replace that. I don't think that's good for you to play like that. It's dangerous and all that stuff. So I just got this new one, but I'm starting to wear into this one now. So
it looks tough though. Like, it makes it look
yeah, right.
cool.
Right. Yeah.
I love all those, so much of a guitar tone, I think, is when you at least in my case, like, I've got beer poured all over it and vodka and sweat and, you cut your hand and then you're bleeding all over it. And it's like all of that, over time, just, it makes it sound better. Like, it makes it sound better.
It does. And like with you have such a great tone, but that's just in your hands. It's in your body. If you picked up this guitar, you would sound like you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so cool about that,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. That's awesome. Did you do DIs for it and like maybe reamp the amps, or was it just the amp that was in the studio? Or
it was the amp that was in the studio and we just mic'd it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was just it was so simple. So everything you hear on that, it's just a couple guitar takes and a couple I doubled a couple things and things like that, but it's pretty primitive, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the old school way to track an album. Like, I'll go in there and jam live.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but
Your guys must have been on point.
yeah, they were on point. We had nothing else to do, but I don't think I'd ever want to go to tape. Have you done that?
I haven't gone. We went to tape. We started on tape, like when we first started out, because our first album was there was still, like, we had triggers and stuff. So it was like the beginning of all that switching over, but it was still tape. And then we went to Pro Tools for a while, and then we tried to go back to tape, and it was a nightmare. it was horrible. We were like, this sucks.
Yeah.
There's all this hiss in the back. We're just like, what? This, like, it was a moment, and I think, for whatever it was, it added whatever it needs. But I think trying to take that and then bring it into the digital world was just like, this doesn't make sense anymore.
Right. It's like having like a really cool classic car, but it doesn't have power steering.
or air conditioning. And you're just like, right. Totally. Totally. You're just like, this is so much harder than it needs to be.
Right. And I think,
Like, where's my electric windows? Where?
right. I think that's why I think, I mean, I could be wrong. What do I know? But I don't think things are going to go backwards. I don't think, but what do I know? I mean, remember like standing outside a tower, waiting for an album to come out or something like that, or wanting to go get an album. You had to, put your pants on, get in the car and get your money and
Right.
sit in traffic and go to the store and hopefully they had it. But now we could just go boop boop boop.
Yeah.
I mean, we loved it. We loved it. It was fun, but I don't know if anything will ever go backwards. Who knows?
I don't think it needs to. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I think that you and I are a little older, so we have that, that was just the way things were, and we did it because that's the way things were. But like kids now, like if I tried to tell my kids, they're 17 and 14, like, hey, like if you want to go listen to this music, you got to drive, 3 miles or 7 miles, or, in some cases, I would drive like 50 miles into San Francisco on BART and on the subway just to get, and then walk 2 miles through, the freaking heroin junkies and just to get to like the record vault to get an underground metal record. Like they would be like, why would I do that? That's insane. Like they just look at me like I had 3 heads.
There it is.
Yeah, like, it was because you could get a demo from Metallica and it was awesome. They're like, what?
Right. Yeah. It's and then to think that the kids are like, oh, and you got to pay for it. They're like,
You gotta pay for it.
talking about pay for it.
Right.
Now next thing you're gonna tell me I have to pay to breathe or something,
Totally. They're just like they're like every band I want to listen to is on YouTube or Apple Music.
Everybody watches music nowadays,
Yeah. Even if it's not a video,
Mhm.
like I noticed that with them a lot. Like they'll just listen. I mean, they'll just watch what are they called? Like the visualizer or just the loops or whatever.
Thing, yeah.
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 Which is fine. It's fine because it just adds like, in some ways, you're doing a video for all these songs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you're a very visual guy. Like you've got a super rad, your makeup and the whole trip is super cool and dark and and I love that.
Yeah.
I think when you're like more of a normal band, like it's harder and harder to make videos now because we're just like, what are we gonna do? Like I can't do you, like I can't suddenly, like people are gonna be like, what happened here? Like,
Yeah, and I was just making a video last night, and it's a pain, it's no fun doing that stuff, but I guess we got to do it because everybody just loves YouTube, including myself.
Right.
I mean, I love to, and sometimes late at night, I'll go down that rabbit hole and I'll look at old Van Halen, So This Is Love, and hear about it later, and old Metallica and all that stuff. And then even TV commercials that we used to like when we were kids, everything is on there. So I do love YouTube and all that. Boy, it's completely changed the world. Now it's on every TV.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, I think too, at least from and I'm sure you feel this way, like when you nail a video and you make something that's truly like artistic and powerful, it can really, it's a very fulfilling feeling to have that accomplishment. I think it makes the song better in some time. Like when you nail it.
Yeah.
Do you agree? I mean,
I agree, which I haven't had that feeling yet.
Okay. Okay.
No, I totally do agree. It is because it's, I remember seeing certain videos just like you and seeing, oh my God. And, even if you like love a certain song and then you see a video for it, like I used to love Peace Sells. God, I used to love,
Right.
watching that video and all that stuff. Now, when you hear a song, back in the day of those songs, you visualize the video in your head. So yeah, that's what you mean by nailing it, because, whenever I hear a song, I can see that video in my head.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, I'm sure I would imagine you have a nice video budget, so I'm excited to see what you get going here.
What's funny is I'm
Did,
glad.
did you write the concept for the video? Did you?
Well, I I tell my people, I don't have all the answers. I say to all these people that I work for and all these different records I do, I don't have all the answers. If you guys have better ideas, let's hear them. I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, it's got to be this. So I'm like, give me some good ideas. Let me hear what you guys got. But I'm glad you brought that up about the video budget, because the business. You've been in the business forever and you've been super successful with it. What I chose to do is I chose to kind of pay for everything myself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I know that I don't want to have this huge like bill or
Yet.
debt with this record label, because it's all a business. They'll look at the numbers and go, well, he owes us this much money. I'm
Right.
like, well, shit, I could just pay for the video myself. And that's what I've been doing. I've been just paying for it myself, and let the record company do their job of things that I can't do. And that's what when I signed with them, and I said, I can do, all these certain things, but I want to be with you guys because there's a lot of things that I can't do. So, it's been working out really well that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big undertaking on your part too, man. I mean, videos can be, pretty pricey. You can make them for cheap now, but like, to get good quality cameras and a good director, good editor, the editor is so important.
Yeah, I just have trained the cats. I put the camera on the cat's head, and I'll just tell the cat to like, don't move.
Oh,
All right, kitty, come on, move, and then it'll run.
follow me. Follow me around.
Yeah, it's food, my hand. It's all a trick.
So you've already done a video then for this, or this is the first video for the album that you were working on yesterday?
I've done a video. My first single I put out was it's called K Pasa, and it's with Dave Mustaine is on it.
Okay, I was wondering who was doing the vocal. I was listening to that earlier.
Yeah. And it's doing really well. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. So we just started making the video last night, and we're going to have it out on the 29th, and day the record comes out.
Nice.
Called Land of the Misfit Toys. And it's super cool. Being in LA, there's a lot of cool places to shoot, and I got a really cool team behind me, and I give credit where credit's due. I definitely praise the people that are working with me, and it's been working out really good so far.
Your number one song on Spotify is, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right. So
Yeah, Noche Acosador.
there you go. Noche Casador.
Yeah.
Dude, that is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I mean, stunningly beautiful. Like, it's mesmerizing. I was completely transfixed. It's so cool. Where did that come from?
I love I love music just like you do, and I love different styles of music, and that's why I say I love music, because I love all music. And I was listening to this great beautiful Spanish style music, and started studying it and really dove deep into it, and it's just so beautiful, and but it's also totally ripping. like what
Yeah.
these guys do. It's ripping. So I thought, oh my God, I mean, I really like that. And it's entertaining for me. So I just thought, well, I'll, give it the old high school try and do something like that. And I studied it so much, and it came out great. That's why I have all these different styles on the records. Because when I play live, it's not just crazy rock, rock, rock. Then I'll like bring out like Western swing and the mandolin, the banjo, and
Hmm.
all this stuff. And that's what makes it entertaining, because the crowd is so diverse. There's little kids, and there's like shredders, and then there's like old country pickers and all this stuff. So it's a fun show. So I love playing that different style of music.
Yeah.
Different.
Please tell me that wasn't just like one or two live takes.
Yeah, no, that was before the
I'm
pandemic.
gonna hate you if that's the case.
It's a lot of fun, man. I just am so lucky for what I do, and I just am always scared that I'm going to wake up and go, man, I had this crazy dream. I played guitar and doing interviews and doing concerts, and I've been just very, very fortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was reading your Wikipedia, and first of all, just before that, let's go take me back to early John Lowry,
Yeah.
pre John 5, growing up in Michigan. And is your family musical? Like, do you have like a lot of music around your house?
Well, my family, I grew up in the 70s, and I had older sisters, and they were like, Jethro Tull and the Stones and Hendrix and all that stuff, but nobody played an instrument.
Okay.
But for some reason, I was just so like obsessed with the guitar, and I started taking lessons at 7,
Oh, wow.
very early on.
Yeah.
And I was so little, I was so small, and I would like couldn't carry my guitar case even. I was so little. But I was, even at that such a young age, I was so obsessed with playing guitar that I played so much. And obviously I was growing that time, but I would stretch my hands to reach these chords, but I would do it all day. And so this hand is larger than this hand.
No, trippy.
And you think it's the fingers, but it's the palm.
Oh, wow. Crazy. Wow. That's trippy.
It's like that much bigger.
Yeah, because you started so early, like it formed.
Stretch, stretch, and stretch, And so I would just play all the time. And I was a good kid, I just, I didn't smoke or drink or do anything. I just tried to, like, I would just play guitar, and I would play these nightclubs that started at like, I started like around 6th grade, 7th grade. And
Oh, that's young, man. That's really young. What are you playing? Like what? Like Jimi Hendrix, or like the rock and roll of the day? Like,
yeah, Van Halen covers, and like,
okay.
Jimi Hendrix, and just covers, and it was just, I'm so glad I did it, because it was all experience. And because I loved metal, and I loved metal. And these guys from, they had this long black hair, and there was this band called Vampirilla, which is still a cool band name. And they had this long black hair, and I knew all their songs, but I was this young kid, and I just like had this weird short haircut, and I was like, grew up in this nice neighborhood, and they said, well, we want you to play the show, but you don't look the part. So I put a black wig on.
Yeah.
Wig and this BC Rich, and I was like,
That's awesome.
great, And
You got like a BC Rich Warlock, like one of those super metal guitars.
Mockingbird,
Mockingbird, yes. I always thought the Mockingbirds were so cool looking.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a twisted telly almost. So I would do these shows, and I would like have this makeup and this long black hair and stuff. And
How old are you at this point? Like, what are you like?
probably like 13 or 14.
Wow, God,
Yeah.
that's so young. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And these guys are old. You're making it sound like these guys are older, like probably 20 or 19.
Yeah, they were like in their 20s. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were like driving. And
Right.
like,
They're old enough to drink.
yeah, they're old enough to drink. And I remember they had like these girlfriends, and like, I was like, whoa, like, this is crazy. Like, that guy's got like this adult girlfriend.
Right.
So I grew up pretty fast, but my mom, like, they trusted me because I knew I wasn't into drinking or smoking or anything, but they said, as long as you get up for school, you can do this. And as you know, like playing those bars and stuff like that, you don't go on until like 1,000 o'clock, know?
Right.
So I would get home at like, really late, but I got up for school. And so I was able to do it.
Man, that's wildly impressive. And the fact that you're like sober through all this, I think I started drinking when I was 13. So,
Yeah. Like all my friends did too, but it was weird. Cause my sisters and all that stuff, they all did it. It was the 70s. Everybody had a drink in their hand, and
right.
smoke in their hand. And
You just weren't into it? Did you have like a family member who was like, had problems, or were you just?
Yeah. My dad and my mom both drank so much. They drank so much, but I never saw my parents stagger or slur a word, but that's how much they drank, because they drank so much. I mean, all day, but it wasn't like that kind of thing. And we grew up in a really nice neighborhood, but it was controlled. I guess you would call it controlled drinking or something like that. But my sister, yeah, she died of a heroin overdose and all that stuff. So I was like, I'm probably going to just stay away from all that stuff. And, my parents smoked but they both passed on from diseases that could have been, prevented because of their abuse, So I just, used what little smarts I had and said, I'm going to just, go this way, go the other way.
Yeah. That's impressive. I mean, that's impressive that you're even that self-aware at that age. I mean, that's incredibly, in touch with yourself and your being, and that's awesome.
But I still try to get toast out of the toaster with a fork.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how to pump gas or anything.
I can't change a tire, but I do know how to do that.
No.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. So you start going into band. So you're in a kind of, would you say they're like a glam band, like a gothy band, like kind of
like
gothy glam? What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like heavy metal, because I loved it. Loved Slayer and Metallica. I saw them.
Oh, okay. So this is
that kind of music. It was really heavy, and I remember going to all those early shows. I saw Metallica, like Master of Puppets tour and
nice.
Rain and Blood tour. All Overkill early shows and all of this amazing music, early Testament, and just being around that scene, because they would come into town, they play these places, same places I was playing. And it was great. It was awesome. Like, there was a place called Blondie's, and yeah, all the bands would play there,
Yeah, I mean, it was a small club, right, in Detroit, the Detroit-ish area. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and it was rad. I'd see like Megadeth come in, and it was like crazy, and see them.
They had all the names spray painted on the ceiling, right? Of all the bands that had come there.
Yeah.
We played there.
There's a place called The Token in Michigan that's I play still. It's a great venue, and big bands still play there all the time, and that's one of the places I played as a kid. And it's still there, and it's a very, very, very active venue today. So,
do you start learning all of like the kind of thrash stuff that's coming out then, like the Metallicas and I mean, Alex Skolnick is ripping guitar player, just stupid good.
Everything. I took it all in. I was such a sponge. I loved everything. Death Angel, everything. I just took it all in. I knew everything. I knew every lick. And I would go see like Metallica early on, and I think it was, and back then it wasn't like you can't go backstage. It was kind of pretty easy. And I remember, and I was a kid. I was probably like 16, 17 at this time, and talking to Cliff, and just
Oh wow.
just talking with him, and talking with him about gear and playing and all that stuff. And he was so nice. I remember him being just super cool and super down to earth, and he would just sit, 'cause he didn't really have much to do. You kind of like, as you just hang around and wait for the show. And he was super cool, and he would just hang out and talk to me and things like that. It was really cool. Shows back then in these venues.
Yeah. Man, that's a great story, dude.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, and what a cool way to help shape your, I think a lot of those thrash bands, I grew up in the Bay Area, and I was a teenager, and those bands were starting to come around. And, I think that I had heard about the Led Zeppelins and like how things were. And then, Metallica starts getting popular, and like James Hetfield's at the bar.
Yeah.
And you can go like say, "Hey, how you doing?" And like, he talks back to you, and you're like, "Whoa!" Like I didn't realize. I thought they were supposed to be in like a limo or or whatever. Like whatever rock and roll fantasy you've been taught.
Right. And and what's super cool is they remember. Like sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I'll sometimes remember people, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So the drummer, Chuck Bueller from Megadeth, he lived in Detroit. And
Okay.
He said, "Hey, let's go see Metallica." And I was like, absolutely, and I loved fucking Megadeth. So, and they knew him. And we would go see Metallica, and those guys,
You guys you're friends with Chuck Bueller. You're friends with Chuck Bueller
yeah,
at this point.
yeah, because he was, in Detroit,
Okay.
the same scene. And we would go see Metallica, and they would remember me, So, and this was the Injustice for All tour. And I would play, some guitar for Kurt, because I knew all of their songs, and they were like laughing, and they would call me Little Ozzy. I had like long hair for some reason. And I would hang out with those guys, like in Justice for All tour, and they would give me like little jobs and things like that.
Oh, nice.
It was really cool and they would give me like silly jobs, like they would like Lars would jump on my back and they'd like chicken fight or something like that. Silly stuff. Or I'd get them like beer or something like that. And they were the nicest people. And then when I started to get known, they'd be like, "Holy shit, that's Little Ozzy. What's he doing? What's he doing in Marilyn Manson or something? What's he doing playing with Daily Roth?"
Right.
So it's funny how it all, it all comes around,
Do you get your first girlfriend because you're in a band?
I loved the ladies. Let me think. And that's God, what a great question. I remember I would play this play. Do you know Harpo's?
Mm-hmm.
So I would play
Rough part of Detroit.
It's terrible. I mean,
scary in the daytime.
Yeah.
Rough.
That's what they should call that place.
Just call it scary in the daytime.
But I loved, because I was young, I loved older women. So I was like always talking to these girls and stuff like that. But yeah, I think so. I think that, and they probably knew I was just this, kid, but yeah, it was probably, from being in these bands, pretty quick.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Harpo's, if I remember correctly, at least in the 80s and 90s, was kind of like like it was kind of like a glam place, like tons of girls, right? Like the enough's enoughs and the all those type of bands were.
Tons of them, but all national acts would come through too. And there was
Yes.
T-shirt night, and it was like the greatest.
Right, wet t-shirt night.
Oh my God, what T-shirt night was the best, you know?
Right.
Oh, good times.
I'm trying to remember the guy who ran that place too. I can't remember. Kind of a shorter dude. Whatever.
I don't know either. Yeah.
I'm spacing out.
But remember that stage was like so high,
Dude, it's so high.
so high. You're like, and that is, you know, because I think it was like, you know, like a vaudeville plays or something like that. You know, all those old theaters. You know, but even the design of that, it's like it was so high.
Yeah, no barricade, but then like a 12-foot stage. So like if you were in the front row, you kind of couldn't see the band.
Yeah, right, exactly. No stage diving. The crowd was like, "Oh, that's fine, okay." You
Like that stage's way too high. I don't want to stage dive.
But I saw Slayer there. I saw, you know, I remember seeing Slayer there on the South of Heaven tour, and I was like, "Whoa, you know, this place is gonna go off," and it did. That's one of the shows that I'll never forget. There, it was on, man. It was on. It was like crazy. One of the greatest shows I've seen.
Do you remember the first time that you ever went into a circle pit?
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah. It was like at those times of like Overkill, and I would see Anthrax, you know, and
And the Slayer pit was a pretty scary pit to go into.
yeah, it was really scary. The worst one I was at Dan the Green when Metallica was playing in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
What year was that?
I'm bad with years, so
Remember what the lineup was?
I hope I'm correct. I think it was like Scorpions were on it, but I went to see Metallica, so I can just remember Metallica, and it was like And Justice for All tour.
Oh, okay.
And I remember because I was like, yeah, I want to get in the pit, you know, and I was all, you know, because I've been in like, you know, some others. And then it started and I was like, And I field away the pit. And I was like, and it freaked me out a little bit because I couldn't get out from like, you're in, you know, that field is like a zillion going off, and it freaked me out. And that was the last pit I was ever in. Because
wow.
it really like freaked me out, and I just went to the side, you know, and I was like, whoa, I'll never do that again.
That was I think that was Van Halen, Scorpions, and Dokken, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see that show, but I remember reading about it and being like, whoa, that's a crazy lineup. But
I still have like the little pass and all that stuff, you know.
that's awesome.
Really fun.
I mean, you were by this point, you're like well versed in Van Halen. That was this
Yeah.
pretty big deal to see Van Halen.
Oh yeah, I saw Van Halen the 1984 tour, and I went to the concerts all the time.
Yeah.
I lived in this nice neighborhood, Grosse Pointe, Michigan, and we snuck out to go meet, you know, Van Halen and meet our heroes, you know, and it was like the worst part of town, and we snuck out, and you know, I met Michael Anthony and
Oh wow.
yeah, and I never met Eddie back then, didn't meet Dave or anybody else, but I met Michael, and he gave me a bunch of pics, and he was super cool. And but meeting these guys that I'm really close to now, I'll tell them about these experiences. You know, like I met Halford, and it was raining. I was like, had my like, you know, Screaming for Vengeance helmet. It was that tour, and he walked right by me, and I was like, you know what? He walked right by me in the rain. I was a little kid. You know, same thing with like Kiss. You know, I met Kiss on the Lick It Up tour. I was 13, and I was waiting there all day. You know,
Waiting at the venue, I'm assuming, or the hotel or the venue.
for Kiss, it was at the hotel because you couldn't.
Okay.
So I was waiting. I was alone in Detroit, and
That's insane. 13 years old.
yeah, and I'm waiting. And here comes Gene, and he walks right by me, of course. And listen, if I see someone waiting for me, a kid, I'm going to sign something, take a picture. So he walked right by me and I was like, fuck this. And I got in the elevator and I thought to myself, what are they going to do? Beat me up on this little kid. And he's standing there like this with his bodyguard.
Wow.
I have my
Intimidating.
originals booklet, Kiss the Originals, and I have a pen. And I'm like, Mr. Simmons, can you please sign this? And he just stood there.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and I was
Wow.
so upset. And the door opened, and he goes, "You want me to sign that for you, son?" And I said, "No, it's okay." True story.
After all that.
I was like, "It's okay," because I was so
Right.
bummed out about it.
Right.
You know?
And that's that kind of brings me to the point that I was trying to make earlier with the Metallica thing. Like, you say you've got those stories, and that's kind of where rock and roll rock stars that we were taught, like, you don't talk to them, they walk right past you, stand in an elevator with them, they don't sign your thing. Where then Slayer comes along or Cliff Burton comes along, and like, you can go up and be like, "Hey, dude," and they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, it's like that.
Cool.
Not that the wall wasn't gone completely, but like they were approachable.
Right. Same thing with like Guns N' Roses. Appetite was out, Welcome to the Jungle was out, and they were playing at this crappy place. And I went there, and after the show, they just came out. There wasn't like a meet and greet or a backseat. They just all came out and hung out in the seats.
Right.
They were breaking down. And I remember talking to all those guys. And for a long time, and then I would see them again, and they, like it was just you're right. It was just because they didn't get to that level yet where they were like, had these security guards or anything like that. They were just still starting out too, and that was so cool. It's so fun to have those memories. Just imagine that now,
Right.
Yeah,
Totally. So at some point you moved to LA.
Yeah.
I would imagine somewhere around the Metallica up in the Bay Area or California, right?
I moved to Hollywood. Yeah, I drove out with the drummer from Megadeth.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so
You're 17, right?
Yeah, I was 17. I was so young, and I was like, drove out there, and because he had a house, and so he said, "Oh, you can stay at my friend's house." And so we finally get to California, and I'm sleeping at this office or something, and my money got stolen the first night. And I was like, "Oh man, what little money I had." And I knew one other person, and I went there and got a job at Penguin's Frozen Yogurt. And then I was a valet for Hollywood events.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just practice, and I lived at the Hollywood Billiards, and I would just live there and play. I had no bathroom, no window, no nothing. And when the lights went out,
Where do you live? I mean, are you in like a closet or something? Like,
it was called the Hollywood Billiards, and it was this rehearsal place.
oh, okay.
Over the pool tables and all this stuff. And when you turn the light out, you would hear, because all the roaches coming out.
Right.
And they would be in my hair and everything because I'd roll over and stuff. But I loved it, man. It was some of the greatest times of my life. It was incredible. It was incredible. And I would give free yogurt away to like Paul Stanley and like, addiction guys. And, I'd do the valet thing, and I'd like take the car because they would be in like an event and I knew they weren't coming out. So I'd take like, Don Henley's Porsche, and I'd go pick up my friends. Fun back then,
That's wild.
Farrah Fawcett all the time.
Farrah Fawcett, get the fuck out of here. That's amazing. Like, you're valeting for Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, and
oh my god.
Hi, John. I'll be like, "Hey, girl," It was really funny. It was just all these mega star, Mick Jagger and all these people. Cause it was like these, I worked for this company, Chuck's Parking, but they would only do like the award shows or really high society parties.
Right, right.
And it was cool. It was a great job. And, while I was trying to do what I do, and I just stuck it out and, never gave up. And that's what people should do nowadays that are listening to this. If you're going to do it, you got to do it and don't give up, because it is so easy to give up. I got my money sold on the first night. I could go home to my big house in Michigan, but I just stuck it out. And that's what you got to do. You got to just really every day, every hour, just want it and be hungry for it.
I'm still blown away that you hung out with that. You valeted for Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I would have just been like, "Do you know how many times I've jerked off to your picture?" Like, fucking,
Right here on my back, the poster tattoo.
right.
So yeah, it's man, it was so awesome. It was so awesome. It was, because it was so innocent. It was such a great time, and the cat house and Gazaris and the whiskey. And it was just such, as you know, man, it was just such a different time.
Yeah, for sure.
Than it is now,
Are you playing in bands at this point? Are you doing session work at this point, or what do you?
I started doing session work pretty early on, because I did it for half the price of everyone else. And I would do it really quick, because I studied my whole life, all these different styles of music. So I did one session, and then that turned into this. And because they're like, hey, this kid's doing it for like nothing, so let's get him. So I did everything. I did like John Wetton and, Robin Zander, Wilson Phillips, Rick Springfield.
Oh, wow.
Anything you can imagine. I was play Salt and Pepper and like all these, anything that needed a guitar player, I was there. But
so what did they pay? Like, they pay you a flat fee to come in and just play whatever the producer wants, or I don't know what.
And it was minimal.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll do it for this much. And it was an astronomical amount of money for me. I was like, oh, this is awesome. But I was making so little compared to the session guys, which was fine. But I just listened what they wanted. I never said, hey, how about this? I just listened. Hey, what do you want me to do? Okay, do this and this. And I would do it really quick because they wanted to get to the vocals.
Right.
So I would just listen. I was like a sponge, every word they said. Sometimes I would even record what they said, and I could rewind and listen to what they said. Oh, play it like this or play it like that, because they would talk a lot. And I would listen back and I would play. And they were like, that's exactly what we wanted,
Nice.
But there was, it was great. I just did sessions forever, like TV shows, Baywatch, Hard Copy.
So like when there's a chase scene in Baywatch and there's like a guitar solo noodling in the background, that's you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay.
A lot, I did a lot of those episodes. There was Corey Larios and John Deandra or something like that did the music for Baywatch, and they always had me come in and I would just play. And now I'm thinking about it, it was so little money, because they were probably like, this is awesome. We're paying this guy like nothing,
What's nothing? What are they paying you?
Like $100.
Okay. Like $100 a session.
And I was working all day.
No rights to anything. Like, here's a flat fee.
Flat fee.
Yeah.
Here you go. And I would wait. I would even wait there all day for people to do their thing. And they were like, hey, are you okay with waiting? I was like, sure. Yeah, I'll wait. And, but I never wanted, when they called, I never wanted to say, well, I'm this far away, or I'm doing this, or I'm working or anything. I would just go, yeah, I'll be there. What time you need me? Noon. Okay, it's 11:35. I'll be there.
You're like, fuck.
Because as soon as they say, okay, well, I gotta then they'll just call the other guy. 'Cause
Right,
they don't
right.
care about you. They just want to get the song done. They want to get to the vocals and, do their part,
Right. Right. You're like, call up Chuck Bueller, be like, I need a ride.
Yeah, right. No Uber back then either.
When I guess your first big break, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but is the David Lee Roth gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got something else though before that, and I'm brain farting on what it was though. Like what was
I was doing this band called Red Square Black, which we opened for Testament, which was awesome. But it was with Randy Castillo,
Mhm.
and we it was like this industrial thing, and it was really cool. It was signed to Zoo.
Okay.
With the Tool guys and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And Ozzy would let us rehearse in his place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That was super nice.
it was really nice, and Ozzy was super cool to me. And it's like, this was like No More Tears. And, or I think after No More Tears. And,
So Zach's in the band.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Rad.
And I love Zach. And it was, it's just
Sick.
So yeah, I did that.
Beast on that record.
Oh,
God, he's insane.
one quick Zach story I'll tell you. When I was in, and I'll speed it up, when I was in this apartment in LA, people would just come in and out. People would come in and out. And I remember this guy coming in, hey, what's up? Super cool. And I would be in the room playing, and he picked up this guitar and he was playing. I was like, this guy is awesome, And he goes, yeah, my name's Zach Wild, And I was like, hey, man, nice to meet you. And he goes, I just got the gig for Ozzy Osbourne. I was like, holy shit, congratulations. Thinking, I don't know if it's true. Anybody could say that,
Right.
So we hung out, and he was awesome, and we jammed, and we watched Easy Money, Rodney Dangerfield movie,
Yeah.
hanging out, and it was a bunch of people. And then I remember getting Guitar for the Practicing Musician, and there's Zach on the cover. I was like, holy shit, there's that guy.
Right.
And I remember he gave me his number, and he goes, hey man, when we're in town, just give me a call, And of course I did. And he brought me to the show, and we were hanging out and stuff.
Badass.
It was first tour, it was so rad. But yeah, that was with Randy Castillo. And then, yeah, I did the Roth thing, which was I don't know even how
I'm dying to hear every David Lee Roth story that you have, because I was just like, I fucking loved that first solo record, dude.
Oh God, dude, I was
Shy Boy and Yankee Rose and Sheehan and I mean, it's fucking insanely good. The songs are so good. The playing is ridiculous.
everything. It was so strange because I had I had no fear, I remember sitting on the couch, and I loved Van Halen, loved David Lee Roth. And I'm going, I wonder what Dave's doing. And I called this number on the back of his Crazy from the Heat,
there was a phone number on the back of Crazy from the Heat.
There was a little, I had a promo book, and it was to this office.
Okay.
I didn't even know if it worked or not. And I think, you know what? Hold on. I think I still have the book that I made the phone call from. Hold on one sec. Here it is. I think I still have the book. So I called the back of this book, and it was Ed Anderson, who was at Van Halen's security. And he was just, and I said, hey, my name's John, and I'd like to, send some songs to you guys if you guys are looking for any songs. They're like, he was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you could just send it to this address. So I sent it to the address, and I can't believe it. I just did my best Van Halen song impression, and that was song Slam Dunk. And, they called back, and Ed Anderson called back, and he goes, Dave really liked these songs. And I was like, oh, I sent him 3 songs. They were like, can you give us 3 more? And this was like, I had no money. And I was like, well, I guess, I'll do my best. Getting studio time back then was like impossible,
Right.
And so I did 3 more, and he's like, yeah, Dave really likes these songs. Will you give us 3 more? And I'm like, well, I can't, I've used up every favor in the book. And he goes, well, Dave wants to meet you. Why don't you come to his house? Here's his address. And I'm like thinking to myself, I know where the house is, And so I drive up, boom, there's gate opens. There's the Panama car, and there's the motorcycle with the horns on it. And there's Dave in overalls. It's like, John, nice to meet you. How's it going? Great work, great work. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was the first time meeting David Lee Roth. I was like freaking out. He goes, we're going to make a record. We're going to make it just like the old Van Halen days. We're going to do everything live. And this is when we're going to do it. Great songs. We're going to have, this, that, and the other thing. And I was like freaking out. I was like just looking around going, oh my God, what is happening, And I was playing with Rob Halford at the same time. And I said, well, Mr. Roth, I'm going to be doing this tour with Rob Halford, and we rehearse at noon. And he goes, okay, well, I don't want you tired after rehearsal, which was very smart. He goes, I don't want you tired, so we're going to have a downbeat at 6 a.m. We're going to start the record because I want you fresh. I'm thinking, I'm going to be really tired at 6 a.m. I'll be all right, and that's how it happened.
Wow. You were with 2 before you got with David Lee Roth, right?
Yeah, it was like right around the same time. And then like a year later, I was like, hey, Dave, why don't you sign the book where I got your number from? And you could see it's like 90.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It's really cool, but I've been in the studio with him so many times, so many great stories, like the Van Halen stories you hear. He would have like palm trees in the studio. He'd have like sand in a studio.
Right.
Sand. He'd have like, drinks set up, and it was just the greatest. And he's so great in the studio because he like knows everything. He knows every beat. He knows every chord. He's very, very tuned in.
Wow. That's cool to know.
Yeah, really cool. One really quick other Van Halen thing, you'll love this. When we were in the studio, I haven't shown anybody this. Hold on, let's see if I can find this as well. When we're in the studio and I'm doing guitar tracks, he likes to doodle. And there was this book in there, and he was like looking over the book, and he was like, okay, cool, And then he was, and the pages, the page looked like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so while I was doing my guitar tracks in the studio, he did this. And
oh shit.
Yeah. And if you can see here where my finger is, that's Eddie Van Halen. Obviously the big one. Dave took up all the room. Michael Anthony's here too, so
wow.
Just great people, great guys, really proud to be a part of that, just to be friends with those guys. It's just there was
does he have like hot tubs in the studio with like shiny naked women everywhere?
No, but he had the palm trees and the sand, and the photographer, and he had, the little people assistants and stuff,
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
like,
it was
like midget assistants.
Yeah, in there and stuff, and it was so fun. It was really great. And
you're still sober through all this time?
Yeah.
Oh my God, your willpower is unmatched, for God's sakes. I would be raging out of my mind with David Lee Roth.
The time I ever had a drink, the only time, is we were on tour. It was the Mechanical Animals tour, and Pantera would always come. As you know, here they come.
Here comes Dimebag, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like really late, so I was in bed. I was like curled up, sleeping, and we had to get to the next city, and they were like, "Okay, we got to go." And Dime's like, "I'm not leaving until we do one more shot." And And so they were like, okay, let's do another shot. And he goes, go get 5. You got to do a shot. Well, he doesn't drink, so I'm not leaving until he gets out here and takes a shot. And so I had to get up, because I wanted to go too. And I had,
The whole tour is stopped, is not leaving because you won't go until you come out and do a shot.
right. And it was that black tooth. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
So I drank that, and I thought I was, I got stabbed in the stomach by a rusty knife. I was like, oh, and stuff in there. Hey. But that was the only time I ever had a drink.
This is the first drink you've ever had.
Yeah.
The first and only drink with Dimebag
With Dimebag.
while on tour with Marilyn Manson.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty epic. I mean, I guess if you're gonna have a shot of booze, like that's the dude to have it with, and that's the tour to do it on.
And it's like, oh. Yeah.
And then you're like, that's it. I'm good.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty rad. How long does the David Lee Roth thing last?
The David Lee Roth thing, it lasted until I joined Marilyn Manson. And I remember Dave saying, John, come over. It's so weird. Come on over. We're going to practice some stage moves. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're going to bend down. I'm going to kick over you and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that's awesome, So I remember on the way there, I got a call from Marilyn Manson, and Manson already, let's see. Okay. So I was in Europe with Halford. I got home from Europe. The phone was ringing. They said, hey, we need a guitar player. Would you like to come meet Manson? I went and met Manson. I didn't even play for him yet, but he had the 2 record and he had the David Lee Roth record in the back of his car.
Okay.
Which is strange to think Manson driving. It's just
That is.
He gave me the
2 is Rob Halford's industrial side project that was mixed by Trent Reznor, and that I guess you guys had recorded prior and then got remixed or something, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I meet him for lunch, and I remember he had a Loverboy shirt on, and he said, I want you to be in the band. Your name's going to be John 5, and it's going to be great.
So he already had it planned out.
He had it all planned out. So I was like, okay, I'm in, And I remember going to Dave's to work with, like, on stage moves. And I told him, and he was like, he was supportive.
Right.
And so was Halford. They were both very supportive. And I've stayed close friends with Dave and Halford ever since. I still talk to them, I talk to Dave more, but I'm so close with both of them, which is good, because they could have been like, screw you or whatever,
Right. Totally.
It was great, and they're great people. Luckily, it's still, friends with them both.
Yeah, that's amazing. You joined Manson on the mechanic, so that's like Dope Show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right when that came out, and
Zim Zum was the previous guitar player, right?
yeah, and
So we toured with them on that. I guess we toured with them on Antichrist.
yeah,
And Zim Zum was the guitar player, and he seemed like he was probably ready to go because Manson, this was like full on destruction on stage. Like, I'm smashing wine bottles and dudes are getting glass in their eye, like, while trying to play guitar. Fucking, like, it was insane.
all of that was real. I mean,
No, it was totally real. Like,
it was real. Like,
dudes were pissed.
it was crazy. And I remember, like, I never got to see them live because I was a big fan of Manson. And I never got to see him live. I remember I was doing the Conan O'Brien show for someone, like I was a session guy, and they were playing at Roseland. And I was like trying to get out of there and go. And I bought a scalp ticket and I got in. And it was like the show was over after like 3 songs. They trashed the place. It's like, And then, so I never got to see him live. So the first time I got to see him live was playing the MTV Awards Dope Show.
Okay.
And so if you see that footage, which you haven't, but I'm just sitting here watching them because it was the first time me seeing Marilyn
Oh,
Manson.
you're playing with them. That's the first time you're seeing. Gotcha. Okay.
First time seeing them was at the MTV Awards. So I'm like this, like looking at them, like, it's like, because I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. But I should be paying attention to the crowd, but I was watching them just like the crowd was. So it was great. Yeah.
The what was it? I mean, you were talking about that it was all real. We did a bunch of dates with them around that time, and even into some mechanical animals stuff. And yeah, I remember that there was so many. I very specifically remember being at the Dynamo Festival. This was after Ozfest, so he came up to me and we rapped for a little while, and then I took a hit of ecstasy, and then decided to go watch Marilyn Manson. Not any I have no idea why I decided to make that choice, but I get up on stage and the ecstasy starts hitting. I'm starting to feel all fuzzy and good, and then Manson comes on and he's got that weighted mic stand and he's just fucking throwing it at his assistant guy and just nailing him in the back, and just I'm just like, holy shit, I don't know if this is the vibe that I want right now.
Yeah, it was.
That assistant guy needs a fucking champion. He needs a fuck.
I wouldn't trade those years for anything. I learned so much, and that's where I got my name.
Right, gives you your name. You're John Lowry up until then.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's all these experiences have been unbelievable, and I'm so thankful for everything that's happens. It's just it's like like I was saying before, it's like a dream because it's all happening so fast. And before all of this was Katie Lang,
right.
Halford, and no, well, I don't know, maybe it was. I'm so bad with years. I think it's before Halford. Yeah, and
she was huge at that point.
We're 3 nights at Radio City Music Hall.
Crazy.
And Madonna was here, and Prince was here, and that was because it was a different crowd,
Right.
It's like that kind of music. We have our friends. We have the Pantera guys. We have these guys Metallica guys that hang out. But in that kind of music, we have Madonna would come to the show and all these models and Peter Gabriel and all this stuff. And
wow,
it was a whole different trip. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And everything, it was like I was saying before, it was like a dream, all of this shit happening, and it was there was masseuses and cooks and all this stuff. And when I joined Manson, I was like, you don't have a cook? Oh, masseuse? And
where's the traveling masseuse at? Brian.
But I remember it was so weird. And those buses. I remember I had the bottom right bus when I joined Marilyn Manson, and Manson slept right across from me. And I would go to
on the bottom.
On the bottom, and
okay.
He had the back lounge, this is before any of that stuff. And I remember I would be sleeping and I'd wake up and he'd be staring at me in his bunk. And I was like, I was like, oh my God, with the curtain, right away. So, yeah.
I think that's funny that he's a lot of band dudes. I went through a sleeping on the bottom bunk for a while, and then I went back to the middle because I can't take the fucking breaks drive me crazy.
Yeah. I'm okay with it. I love to tour, and I just loved everything about it.
Yeah.
When it was taken away from us, these last couple of years, you really were like, whoa, you really miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you though, for me, I was just talking to somebody. I went to Korn and System of a Down last night,
Yeah.
and was hanging with those guys, and was just talking about what the pandemic. They're super stoked to be on tour. I was like, dude, I bet I'm ready to go, but like I think with in my case, I've been on tour since little later than you. I was on tour when I was 19, but like I've never stopped. I was on tour in Violence, and then that one ran into Machine Head, and the Machine Head is like we've never taken a break. We've never gone on hiatus. We've never had 4 years off because I needed to make a movie or anything, like just nothing. Like it's just been nonstop for sometimes 3-year tour cycles. A 3-year, 3-month tour cycle. Averaging 20-month tour cycles with 2 to 3 weeks between tours. And I, like it was a forced stop for sure, the pandemic coming. But, in so many ways, just, I got a wife, I got 2 kids, 2 boys, they're both teenagers, 17 and 14. And to just be able to reconnect with them for this little short amount of time at this kind of important time in their life as well, like as teenage boys, and, to have their dad there. No, I'm not going anywhere. I don't have another tour. Like, it's been really awesome. Like, it's been really more awesome than I could have imagined it. Like, I've become way closer with them, like way closer with my wife. Like, it's, for all of the, certainly the financial part has been the hardest part to withstand, although we have done rather well, all things considered. But, just that little piece. If there is a silver lining to the pandemic, that was absolutely it for me. Just that time. It's not even me going to hang out with friends. Like, because you can't go hang out with your friends. It's like I'm just hanging out with my wife and kids. Like, that's screw all of you. That's it. It was beautiful. Like, it was a beautiful thing, and I do truly cherish it. This bit.
That's wonderful, man. That is so great. Yeah, making lemonade out of lemons, It's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
And I'm excited I'm excited to go on tour. We got tour dates coming up here at some point, and I'm sure you do. Do you have tour dates? Have you already done tour dates? Have you started playing? No, you played with Zombie, right? You've played shows with Zombie already.
Yeah, I did a tour. I did my own tour in the summer, and it was
Okay.
And then I went right from that to doing all the festivals with Rob. And nobody knows this yet though, but I'll tell you, I was about to do a tour with Ingve, but I'm not going to, just because it's just not safe right now, It's just not safe. And I love Ingve's my hero. But I've had a couple people that have passed on from this, and it's just, I'm just going to wait this out. We have one show. We're going to do a show with Metallica with Zombie in November 11th.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, I'm just going to try to kind of ride this out.
How did the headline tour go? Your solo tour?
It's a great question because, I was nervous about it because, it was all this, you have to have this, you have to have that, you have to have this, and you got to have this vaccine card, and you got to look good, and you got to not be sweating or coughing, So
Right.
I started doing these shows, and they were full, they were packed, and I was happy about that. And this is the point where everybody was dropping off. Like, everybody was just like, oh, we're canceled. And I just, it was a really successful tour. Knock on wood. I did the whole thing, didn't cancel one show.
Nobody caught COVID.
Nobody got COVID.
That's
and
amazing.
in places that were small but packed, So everybody had a great time. And I said, listen, Dr. Fauci would not, approve of this crowd, but, thank you guys for coming. But it was wonderful, and everybody was very respectful. And I tried to, talk to as many people and, all that stuff as I could, because I missed people,
Right. Did you do meet and greets?
We did.
You did. And was there any protocols in place for that, or was it just kind of like
I wore a mask, they wore a mask, and everybody was very cool,
cool?
you know? Because I just thought, if you're going to Starbucks or something, you're wearing a mask and you're talking to that person.
Right.
What's the difference?
Right. Right.
And it's important, for me, meeting these, my heroes back in the day, when I was a little kid or something like that. And I have little kids coming to these shows, and I think it's important just to be safe and be smart and meet people. And there's no difference of us going to the grocery store or something like that, So it was good, I'm really happy I did it, but the Yngwie tour, I'm just going to have to sit out, and it kills me. It kills me because, he's, I love Yngwie, and, but I've had a couple people that have died, and I'm like, it's just not worth it. I'm gonna sit it out.
Yeah, that first Yngwie album is just amazing. Black Star, and just, even like the next I Am a Viking. I mean, I saw him recently do a Little Wing. He played a Little Wing playthrough, and it was just, dude. I mean, it was magical.
Yeah, he is an anomaly. He's incredible. There's very few people, guitarists, that have really changed the game. That are complete epiphanies. Jimi Hendrix. When the people heard Hendrix, you're like, oh my God, like what is going on? Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
Like when Eddie came, they're like, what is going on? It's just that other mind-blowing thing. And Yngwie was one of those too, where they're like, whoa, this is like to a complete next level. And of these people that just completely change how you look at something, it's just like if, we were working on laptops, and all of a sudden, I turn this laptop inside out and do it this way, and it's so
right.
something that's so crazy that we would never think of,
Yeah, totally. Well, I hope that comes back together at some point in the future. I would totally love to see that. That would be sick.
Yeah, me too. And, I would love to see it too.
Well, dude, why don't you give a shout out to your new record one more time?
The new record is called Sinner. It comes out October 29th. New video called Land of the Misfit Toys will be out hopefully that day as well. So, it's going to be everywhere where music is sold. So I'm pretty psyched about it.
Awesome. Dude, you've been a fantastic guest, man. So many stories. Jeez Louise. It's incredible.
Pleasure and an honor.
Yeah, it was rad, man. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, right there, the mighty John 5 here on No Fucking Regrets.
No fucking regrets!
With Robb Flynn.